بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونستهديه ونؤمن به ونتوكل عليه ونعوذ بالله العظيم من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله تعالى فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلن تجد له وليا مرشدا وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له له الملك وله الحمد يحيي ويميت وهو حي لا يموت بيده الخير وهو على كل شيء قدير وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله وصفيه وخليله أدى الأمانة وبلغ الرسالة ونصح للأمة وكشف الغمة وتركنا على المحجة البيضاء ليلها كنهارها لا يزيغ عنها إلا هالك فعليه أفضل الصلاة وأتم التسليم وعلى آله وصحبه ومن استنى بسنته إلى يوم الدين. اللهم اجعلنا منهم ومن الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر. آمين يا رب العالمين. وأوصيكم ونفسي بتقوى الله عز وجل وقد أمرنا بالحق وقال تعالى يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون. يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة وخلق منها زوجها وبث منهما رجالا كثيرا ونساء واتقوا الله الذي تساءلون به والأرحام إن الله كان عليكم رقيبا. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا يصلح لكم أعمالكم ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم ومن يطع الله ورسوله فقد فاز فوزا عظيما. أما بعد, we begin by praising Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, declaring His perfection and that none has the right to be worshipped or unconditionally obeyed except for Him subhanahu wa ta'ala. And we bear witness that Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam is His final messenger who was sent as a mercy to all of Allah's creation. And we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to send His peace and blessings upon Him, His family, His companions, and those that follow until the Day of Judgment. And we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make us amongst them. Allahumma ameen. Dear brothers and sisters, Imam al-Ghazali rahimahullah ta'ala, he says in a few beautiful lines of poetry, he says, إِذَا كَانَتِ الْمَرْءُ لَهُ فِكْرَةٌ فَفِي كُلِّ شَيْءٍ لَهُ عِبْرَةٌ. He said that if a person is thinking about something deeply, then everything around him lends itself to that thought. Meaning if he's thinking about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, everything around him reminds him of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. كقوله تعالى إن في خلق السماوات والأرض واختلاف الليل والنهار لآيات لأولي الألباب. As Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that in the creation of the heavens and the earth and in the alternation of night and day, there are signs for people who reflect, people who have pure thoughts, clear thoughts. They're thinking of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Therefore the tree reminds them of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The water reminds them of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The cars remind them of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Their technology reminds them of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Their own creation reminds them of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Everything around them lends itself to that fikrah, to that thought of Allah azza wa jal. And if you're thinking about other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then everything around you reminds you of that thought as well. Now when it comes to the believer has this consistent attribute of consistently remembering Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and therefore trying to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with whatever circumstances he has, whatever is around him and whatever has been provided to him at the moment. And that's why the Prophet ﷺ, when he used to be asked, Ayyul a'mali afdal, which of the actions is most beloved to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the Prophet ﷺ gave different answers. So one time the Prophet ﷺ says, Jummuah wa in qalb. The most beloved actions to Allah are the ones that are consistent even if they're small. One time the Prophet ﷺ says, as-salatu li waqtiha, prayer on time. Another time the Prophet ﷺ says, as-salatu fi awwali waqtiha, prayer at the beginning of its time. The point is, Rasulullah ﷺ gave different answers. And Imam Hasan al-Basri rahimahullah, he commented on that. And he responded and he said that what we can derive from the message of the Prophet ﷺ in this regard, that the most beloved action to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala depends upon where you are, who you are, and at what time you are living. Okay? So the best action to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or what is most beloved to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, is that you are doing what Allah wants you to do, where Allah wants you to do it, when Allah wants you to do it, how Allah wants you to do it. Okay? That you constantly try to find a way to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala despite your circumstances. This is called in the Arabic language and in Islamic terminology al-ihtisab. seeking the reward. Seeking the reward of your good deeds, seeking the reward of your trials and of your patience, seeking the reward of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, whether you are in ease or whether you are in hardship. And you might remember, though it was a few weeks ago and no one remembers a khutbah after a few weeks, we talked about the ayah, وَمَنْ يَتَّقِ اللَّهِ يَجْعَلْ لَهُ مَخْرَجًا وَيَرْزُقْهُ مِنْ حَيْثُ لَا يَحْتَسِبُ. That whoever fears Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah will make a way out for him, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will provide for him in ways that he never would have imagined. وَمَنْ يَتَوَكَّلْ عَلَى اللَّهِ فَهُوَ حَسْبًا. Whoever depends on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah is enough for him. And the conclusion of that khutbah was that sometimes Allah provides you, the risk that Allah provides you is different than what you gave for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And sometimes we restrict the whole concept of risk to al-mal, to money. So if I give $10, I need $20 in return. But as we said, it comes in many different ways. And we mentioned, subhanAllah, the story of the shepherd, the video that went viral on YouTube, which was based on a narration of Ibn Omar radiallahu ta'ala anhu, about the young shepherd, or he wasn't so young, but the shepherd in Saudi Arabia, who was from Sudan. And the men are testing him, just as Ibn Umar radiallahu anhu once tested a man who was a shepherd and said, give me one of your sheep. And he said, أَنَا مَمْلُوكٌ وَمُعْتَمَدٌ, that I am owned and I am entrusted with these sheep. And eventually, Ibn Umar radiallahu anhu, after testing his resolve, he freed the man as a result of that. And we saw that there was this video that went online about this man that refused, even for 200 dirhams, he said, 200 riyals, he said, even if you gave me 200,000 riyals, I will not do so. And subhanAllah, since that khutbah, the Sudani embassy in Saudi Arabia actually had a press conference with him and handed him 200,000 riyals. SubhanAllah, as a result of his trustworthiness and saying that I will not give one of these sheep that has been entrusted to me by the owner, even if you gave me 200,000 dinars, riyals. As Rasulullah says, "Usduqillah." Be truthful with Allah, yasduq. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will be truthful with you as well. So we said we can't restrict a risk to money. It's so much broader than that. Now something very important in al-ihtisab, when it comes to seeking the reward of something, it's not to necessarily seek the reward of it in dunya, but to seek the reward of it in the hereafter. And so for example, the Prophet ﷺ, I know that we have a trend, and it's very natural for us to want to live right next to the masjid. And this is the thing in Dallas, right? A masjid pops up, people move around the masjid. And I'm guilty as well. If you're 3 minutes away, and if you're 7 minutes away, there's a huge difference. But the Prophet ﷺ, when he heard of a tribe by the name of Banu Suleiman, that wanted to move closer to the masjid, the Prophet ﷺ said, stay where you are, because every single khutbah, every single step to the masjid has a reward to it. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, سَنَكْتُبُ مَا قَدَّمُوا وَآثَارُهُم. سَنَكْتُبُ مَا قَدَّمُوا وَآثَارُهُم. We will write down for them everything that they put forward and their footsteps. So the Prophet ﷺ said, stay in your places and seek the reward of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Ihtasib, seek the reward of every single step to the masjid. SubhanAllah, Ubay ibn Ka'b radiallahu anhu, and this is narrated in a Sahihain. He says that there was a man that lived very far from the masjid. And he says, كَانَ أَبْعَدَ النَّاسِ مِنَ الْمَسْجِدِ دَارًا. He was actually the furthest person away from the masjid. His home, can you imagine, was the furthest away from the masjid. And he said he used to come to the masjid without any himar, no jamal, no donkey, no camel, no car. Okay, they didn't have cars back then anyway. But he used to walk to the masjid every single day. Whether it was hot or whether it wasn't so hot, whether it was day or whether it was night. So Ubay ibn Ka'b radiallahu anhu says, فَتَوَجَّعْنَا لَهُ. We hurt for him. We felt pain for him. So we told him, if only you would at least ride a beast, you would ride a donkey or you would ride something to come to the masjid, that would protect you from the heat of the sun, and it would protect you from the harmful things of this earth. It would protect you from the scorpions and from anything of the earth. And he said no. He says, La wallah. He says, because I seek the reward of each and every single step to the masjid. Ahtasibu. I seek every single khutbah, every single step that I make to the masjid. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to reward me for that. And he recited the ayah as well, سَنَكْتُبُ مَا قَدَّمُوا وَآثَارَهُم. وَكُلَّ شَيْءٍ أَحْصَيْنَاهُ فِي إِمَامٍ مُبِينٍ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, we will write down everything they brought forward and their footsteps. And when the Prophet ﷺ heard of that, when the Sahaba told the Prophet ﷺ about that, the Messenger of Allah ﷺ said, and he has a reward for each and every single step. On his way to the masjid and leaving the masjid. The point is, everything Allah Azza wa Jal has given to you has a potential to it, a certain potential to it. Coming to the masjid, we're all in the masjid, and we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give us all the reward for Jum'ah. Allahumma ameen. Now, some people came after the adhan. You missed your chance. You're not punished because you would have attended the salah, but you came after the adhan. And the Prophet ﷺ, he said that the angels have their roll books. And when the imam says, Assalamu alaikum, those books close. You missed your chance for the ajr of Jum'ah. Okay? And if you had some excuse, Allah knows your excuse. You don't have to come attack me after the khutbah and say, I took away your ajr. You have your excuse in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But there was a certain reward that was associated with getting here before the adhan. And then the Prophet ﷺ said, the earlier that you got here, the more the angels were sending their prayers upon you. The more Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala looked to you in a favorable way. And there were some people that parked maybe a little bit further from the masjid, and some people that perhaps parked in an inappropriate way, and if we didn't have a security guard would have blocked others. Maybe took a few more steps. And the Prophet ﷺ said in the hadith in Sahih Muslim from Abu Sa'id radiallahu ta'ala anhu, that every single step to Jum'ah, if a person did his ghusl, he took his shower, his bath for Jum'ah, and he made his way seeking the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. With every step you took to get to Jum'ah, there was a year of qiyam and a year of siyam. A year of the night prayer. Imagine if you prayed qiyamul layl every single night for a whole year. And a year of fasting associated with every single step that you took to the masjid. So there was an extra reward for some. Now, I think we'd all agree that 10 years of qiyam and 10 years of siyam is a significant amount of qiyam and siyam. It could have just been an extra 10 steps you took. SubhanAllah, maybe you parked 2 spots over. Allah rewarded you more. The reward was greater. As a mu'min, it's not just a black and white situation. It's not just, usually when we talk about law, we talk about something that you have to do and something that if you do, you're punished for. We have that which is haram and we have that which is fard. Just like any system of law. We have that which is prohibited and that which you have to do. But at the same time, you have that which is mustahab, mandub, sunnah. That which is recommended, where you can increase your reward. If you don't do it, you won't be punished. But as a mu'min, as a believer, as someone who's seeking the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you will do it even though it's not fard, even though it's not mandatory. And there's that which is makruh, there's that which is hated. There's some kiraha in it, it's detested by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but from the mercy of Allah, He didn't forbid it for you. But as a believer, I'm not going to allow myself to fall in those situations where it's makruh, because I want the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I'm seeking something far higher than just breaking even here. Right? SubhanAllah, can you imagine? I remember when we had the smoking cigarettes discussion. Right? Which, by the way, there's a pretty conclusive agreement amongst the ulama at this point. Alright? But when cigarettes first came out, the answer, if you tell someone who's smoking, Ya akhi, ittaqillah, fear Allah, you should abandon that. He says, it's just makruh. That's like saying Allah just hates it. But He didn't make it haram. It's just makruh. So it's an attitude that the believer should have. The believer should always want to make the most out of his situation. And subhanAllah, this is true, by the way, in regards to as-sabr as well, in regards to patience as well. The Prophet ﷺ, he said in the hadith in al-Bukhari, as is narrated by Mu'adh ibn Jabal radiallahu ta'ala anhu, and other than Mu'adh, the Prophet ﷺ said that if someone loses someone that is beloved to them, then you should say to that person, Inna lillahi ma akhadha wa ma a'ta. To Allah belongs that which He has taken and that which He has given. وَعِنْدَهُ كُلَّ شَيْءٍ فِي أَجَلٍ مُسَمَّى. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has everything with its prescribed term. Its expiration date is already there. فَاصْبِرْ وَاحْتَسِبْ. Be patient and seek the reward from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Meaning what? In your tragedy, look, you're going to have to get over this. You're going to have to learn to be patient. But don't just be patient. Ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give you something more than that which was taken away from you. Ask Allah to reward you for your patience. Ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give you the best of that situation. You know, Abdullah ibn Abbas radiallahu ta'ala anhu, one day when he returned to Ta'if where he lived, his son passed away, and they went to him and they told him that your son has passed away. And subhanAllah, this is one of his beloved children. And you know, you can imagine how that news strikes you at first. As soon as they told him that, he said, Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. To Allah we belong and to Allah we return. He got off of his camel, he prayed 2 rak'ahs. After he finished his 2 rak'ahs, he said, فَعَلْنَا مَا أَمَرَنَا رَبُّنَا وَبَشِّرِ الصَّابِرِينَ. We did as Allah commanded us to do, and give glad tidings to the patients. Meaning what? Just as Allah said, الَّذِينَ إِذَا أَصَابَتْهُمْ مُصِيبَةٌ قَالُوا إِنَّا لِلَّهِ وَإِنَّا إِلَيْهِ راجعون. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, when tragedy comes to them, they say, to Allah we belong and to Allah we return. And they seek some elevation in the sight of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as a result of the tragedy that happened to them. And this is not something that you just do with major tragedy. It's something far greater than that. It's what do you really want Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give you? Do you really want Allah azza wa jalla to only give you of this world and to only better your dunya, or do you want something more than that? And the greatest example of al-ihtisab is what we see from Asiyah radiallahu ta'ala anha, Asiyah bint Muzahim in the Quran, when she's being tortured by Fir'aun. And this is a woman that grew up her entire life in a palace, a princess that became a queen, that has never seen hardship in her life, that has never seen the outside of the palace of Fir'aun. And now she's out in the desert, humiliated, tied, spit on, beaten. And when she calls upon Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, what does she say? رَبِّ ابْنِ لِي عِنْدَكَ بَيْتًا فِي الْجَنَّةِ. Oh Allah, build for me with you. With you. The first thing she asked was actually for the companionship of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala rather than the companionship of Fir'aun. She didn't ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for another husband. She said, oh Allah, I don't want Fir'aun, I want you. And I don't want this palace, I want Baytan fil Jannah. I want a palace in Jannah. She could have asked Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for many things. But what she was doing was the essence of al-ihtisab. The most of the situation is not just istighfar and not just seeking forgiveness from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The most of the situation, oh Allah, I gave this up for you, and so I expect the reward from you. And what did Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala do? Allah azza wa jalla would show her her place in Jannah as she was being tortured. And the angels shaded her. Just as the angels shade the people of Ash-Sham. تِلْكَ مَلَائِكَةُ اللَّهِ بَاسِطُ أَجْنِحَتِهَا لِأَهْلِ الشَّامِ. Just as Rasulullah said, the angels have their wings over the people of Ash-Sham. And you might think to yourself, doesn't look like the angels of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala have their wings over the people of Ash-Sham. With all of the tragedy, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give them nusrah, Allahumma ameen, may Allah give them victory. All the tragedy that's happening over there, it doesn't look like Allah is giving them shade, right? But the shade of the angels is different than the shade that we imagine. The shade of the angels empowers you on the inside to face whatever struggle you have in front of you. It strengthens your iman. The shade of the angels allows you to look at adversity and smile because you know what Allah Azza wa Jal is giving you in return is better than what's being taken away from you in this dunya. And so she smiles when the angels shade her. And she laughs. And Fir'aun says, look at this crazy woman. She laughs and she smiles and she faces that tragedy. Why? Her expectation is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And Allah does not disappoint the one who seeks from Him. Why? Even in our small day-to-day affairs. You know, someone faces some form of transgression. Abdullah bin Mas'ud radiallahu ta'ala anhu. One time in Iraq, and subhanAllah we mentioned them a few weeks ago as well. One time in Iraq, Abdullah bin Mas'ud radiallahu ta'ala anhu was walking in the marketplace. And someone stole stole the bag that he was carrying his goods in. So they stole his money. Someone robbed him in the middle of that marketplace and ran away. And subhanAllah, whenever they did that, obviously Ibn Mas'ud radiallahu anhu is the sheikh of Kufa. He's the sheikh of Iraq as a whole. He taught all these people Quran. And whenever they know that he was just robbed, and he was a small man, radiallahu ta'ala anhu, physically, he couldn't do much for himself, everyone in the marketplace panicked. Everyone in the marketplace wanted to kill that man, so they started to look around, they started to search to try to find that bag. Abdullah ibn Mas'ud radiallahu ta'ala anhu, immediately, he smiled and he raised his hands to the sky And he said, Allahumma in kana miskinan, oh Allah, if he is poor, فَبَارِكْ لَهُ فِي مَا أَخَذَ مِنِّي. Bless him with what he has stolen from me. And he said the words that the Prophet ﷺ taught, that no believer says, seeking the reward from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, except Allah gives him better than that which was taken away. Allahumma jurni fi musibati wa khlufi khayran min. Oh Allah, reward me for my tragedy. You see what happened to me, oh Allah, reward me for my tragedy and give me something better than that which was taken away. With full confidence, Allah will give me something better. And subhanAllah, that attitude with Allah Azza wa Jal allows you to face any hardship in this world. Whether it is death of a family member, whether it is a financial hardship, whether it is a transgression, whether it is an issue with your health, when you seek the reward from Allah Azza wa Jal in the akhirah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala assures it for you. And subhanAllah, Shaykh al-Islam ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah, he said that at-tawakkul, trusting Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala comes before the test. He said, al-rida bil-qada, being pleased and content with what Allah has decreed, comes afterwards. The sense of tranquility and contentment that comes inside of you comes afterwards. That you know what? It's okay. Alhamdulillah. It's okay. Allah will give me something else. I'm going to be fine. I'm still alive. I still have this. I still have that. Alhamdulillah. That rida, that pleasure, will not come with anything except for La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah. It won't come with anything but Iman. And subhanAllah, that rida, when you're pursuing that, even whenever you are guaranteed forgiveness and protection from hellfire, and none of us are guaranteed that protection, you still want more from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Sa'id ibn Abi Waqqas radiyallahu ta'ala anhu, the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he said, Allahumma ajib li Sa'id. Oh Allah, answer Sa'id every time he makes dua. Can you imagine a person who has that under his belt where if I ask Allah for anything, He will give it to me? It's not just that if the Prophet ﷺ said, ask me for anything, like he did with Rabi' ibn Ka'b al-Asmi or others, suddenly, ask me, that's amazing enough. You can ask the Prophet ﷺ for anything. But subhanAllah, with Sa'id radiallahu ta'ala anhu, the Prophet ﷺ asked Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to accept his dua, and there's no greater gift than that. And Sa'id radiallahu anhu was mujab al-da'wah. His dua was accepted anytime he asked Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for anything. On top of that, he was guaranteed Jannah from al-Ashr al-Mubashirin, the 10 promised paradise. He was guaranteed Jannah from the Hijrah. He was guaranteed Jannah from the veterans of Badr. He was guaranteed Jannah from Bay'at al-Ridwan. He was guaranteed Jannah in the last farewell speech of the Prophet ﷺ. He's been guaranteed Jannah 5 times in the seerah of the Prophet ﷺ. And his dua is mustajab. If you had that already given to you, what would you ask Allah for? He could have made dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to put him on a private island with a nice palace and never be bothered again. Never have to do anything again. But even after he's guaranteed Jannah, he fought in every battle with the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He was the first one to take Islam to China. If you ask where China got Islam from, by the way, China has 22 million Muslims. 22 million Muslims. Who went there first? Sa'id ibn Abi Waqqas radiyallahu ta'ala anhu, and he built the first masjid in China. This is established authentically in the seerah of Imam al-Dhahabi rahimahullah ta'ala. He built the first masjid in China. Lived a long life, and his dua was so easily answered that the Sahaba feared to upset him. Omar ibn Khattab radiyallahu ta'ala anhu, one time when he was organizing the lines of battle, he accidentally pushed Sa'id, and he started to cry, and he started to ask Sa'id for forgiveness because he was afraid of the dua of Sa'id ibn Abi Waqqas radiyallahu anhu. To give you an idea, one time in Al-Basra, there was a man that was cursing Ali ibn Abi Talib radiyallahu ta'ala anhu. And Sa'id was one of the people that took the methodology of leaving all fitan. He didn't get involved in any of the battles, any of the tribulations of the Muslims. He took a backseat. But this man was cursing Ali radiallahu anhu, and Sa'id was becoming upset and enraged, and he went to him and he said, if you don't stop cursing Ali, I'm going to curse you. And the man kept going. And Sa'id radiallahu anhu made dua against him. And a beast came from outside of Iraq, stomped the man to death and left. That was the dua of Sa'id. Now, why didn't he ask Allah for more in this world? Not only that, can you imagine if this man gets sick, all he has to do is say, "Oh Allah, cure me," and he's good. That's all. Sa'd radiallahu anhu, the last 2 years of his life, he was actually blind. And when he went blind, all of the Sahaba, including his children, they said, well, that's easy. Just ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to cure you from your blindness and you'll be fine. Right? You can't gain more Jannah, you already have Jannah. Just ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to cure you. And his kids went to him and they said, why aren't you making dua to Allah to cure you of your blindness? And you know what he said? He said, Wallahi inni astahi an atlub dhalik. He said, I'm too shy in the sight of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to ask for that. He said, rather, bal asbir wa ihtasib. He said, I'm going to be patient and I'm going to seek the reward of this tribulation. SubhanAllah. Even then, he wants more than what he already has. He's already guaranteed Jannah. But the believer always wants more. The believer always strives for more. The believer, when he asks, you know, SubhanAllah, a person in this world, Rasulullah said, لو أعطي ابن آدم وآدم من ذهب لابتغى به ثانية. When the son of Adam is given a valley of gold, he doesn't get satisfied with this valley of gold, he wants another one. And if he's given 2, he wants a third one. If he's given 3, he wants a 4th one, and nothing will satisfy him except for dirt in his mouth. ألهاكم التكاثر. You've been destroyed because you always want more of this world. حتى زرتم المقابر, until you go to the grave. The believer, on the other hand, always wants more hasanat. And whether it is in ease, and if it's walking to the masjid, or if it's in his salah, or if it's his serving people at the time of iftar, or if it is a tragedy that comes to him either in a minor form or in a major form, it's always looking to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and saying, oh Allah, reward me for this. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make us amongst those who are patient and those who seek the reward of their patience. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to grant us al-ridha, to grant us pleasure with His decree, and to grant us satisfaction with His ease and with His blessings and shukr and gratitude. Allahumma ameen. أقول قولي هذا واستغفر الله لي ولكم ولسائر المسلمين فاستغفروا إنه هو الغفور الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين ولا عدوان إلا على الظالمين والعاقبة للمتقين. اللهم صل وسلم وبارك على عبدك ورسولك محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم تسليما كثيرا. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to soften our hearts and to grant us the best of this world and the best of the hereafter, and to protect us from the hellfire. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. اللهم اغفر للمؤمنين والمؤمنات والمسلمين والمسلمات الأحياء منهم والأموات إنك سميع قريب مجيب الدعوات. اللهم اغفر لنا وارحمنا واعف عنا ولا تعذبنا. ربنا ظلمنا أنفسنا وإن لم تغفر لنا وترحمنا لنكونن من الخاسرين. اللهم اغفر لوالدينا رب ارحمهما كما ربونا صغارا. ربنا هب لنا من أزواجنا وذرياتنا قرة أعين واجعلنا للمتقين إماما. اللهم انصر المستضعفين في مشارق الأرض ومغاربها. اللهم أصلح أحوال إخواننا المنكوبين في كل مكان. اللهم أعز الإسلام والمسلمين وأذل الشرك والمشركين ودمر أعداء الدين. اللهم أهلك الظالمين بالظالمين واخرجنا وإخواننا من بينهم سالمين. عباد الله إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون. فاذكروا الله يذكركم واشكروه على نعمائه يزد لكم ولذكر الله أكبر والله يعلم ما تصنعون. وأقم الصلاة.
قيما لينذر بأسا شديدا من لدنه ويبشر المؤمنين